You are now watching MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast TV. Chill!
Hello, everybody. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman, a YPG, and a Premier Boy Podcast. Welcome to another new episode of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast TV. Hope all is well. And on the episode, I got my special guest. She is a writer, she is an author, and she is also my aunt. So we're gonna talk about her about everything that she's been going through in life and many more. So you already know what to do. Sit back, relax, and I'll be right back. Everybody, welcome back. And at this time, I got my special guest. She is an author, she is a writer, and she also my aunt. We got Miss Rolanda Pyle in the building. How you doing, Rolanda Pyle?
Hi, Kenny. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good.
Yes, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
Yeah, so we're gonna start this interview. So we're gonna start with where are you from?
I'm from New York. I was born in Harlem and raised in Brooklyn, Crown Heights. So I'm a New Yorker, even though I'm ready to relocate, but I'm a New Yorker.
All right. So if you had to describe yourself with one word, what would that word be?
Resilient. Because I've overcome a lot of obstacles, and with God's help, I would say resilient.
Okay, nice. So let's talk about your beginning of life. Like, how was your journey, like growing up? Because then, how that made you the person that you are today?
Well, my journey growing up was twofold. It was good on one hand, and it was difficult on the other hand. As a child, my mother, I have two siblings who I grew up with, and as a child, my mother left us with my father, and my grandmother stepped in to help him with us and to help raise us. And it was difficult for me because I always wanted a mother in the house, and she wasn't there, and I was bullied in school, and I had a girl in my class named Yolanda, and I think because we had a similar name had something to do with it, and she used to bully me and say, I know why your grandmother brings you to school, because your mother left you because you're so ugly, you're so skinny. I used to go in the bathroom and cry. So it was a difficult process for me. But in the end, because God just used it to fulfill my life's dreams and to take me to places that I never thought I would go. So, but then on the other hand, my childhood was good because my father, along with my aunts, made sure that we had everything we could. We did a lot of recreational stuff, a lot of cultural stuff. We were always involved in different things. So it was a toss-up. It was both for me.
And how that made you into the person that you are today? Like everything that you've been through.
I think everything I've been through showed me that there's a scripture that I believe in, that all things work together for good to those who love the Lord according to his purpose. And that's Romans 8:28. And that's the scripture that is my motto for life. I believe that God took what was a bad thing and made it for the best thing that could have happened in my life. And so I think that the situation, it helped me because years later, I was called to work with, I became a social worker, and I was called to work with grandparents and who are raising their grandchildren. And how did I know about it? How did I know what they needed? How did I know what the kids needed? Because I lived it. And so what I thought was the worst thing in my life turned out to be the best thing in my life.
And good thing you mentioned about being a social worker, because that is the next question. Like, what made you wanted to go into that field of work?
Well, I always wanted to help people. That was just my thing. When I was younger, I always wanted to help people. And at first I wanted to be a teacher. But then when I got to junior high school and I saw how my class was treating the teachers, I said, nope, I'm not going to do this. So I knew I wanted to help people. And I started, I was always the type of person who was always helping the kids in school when people teased them and stuff like that. So it just kind of like blossomed into social work.
Nice. So also, you're also an author. So what inspired in a writer? What inspired you to start doing that?
As I mentioned, Kenny, I was very introverted as a child, and kind of sad and stuff like that. And so because I was introverted, I wasn't outgoing and talked and stuff a lot. So when I was in English class, I loved writing. my 8th grade teacher, and this is why teachers are so important to me. My 8th grade teacher, Miss Giskin, told me I have a creative writing ability. And it stuck with me. Of all the things I heard, that stuck with me. So I would always write. I always kept diaries and stuff. And, my siblings used to sneak and read my diaries. But I always used to write things down and record things. So I just liked writing. And then it just blossomed into something that I continue to do and something that I continue to get compliments on, and people would tell me to write more or write this. And then I started writing poetry, and people would ask me to write poetry for every occasion, and I would do it. And that's how it just blossomed.
Okay, amazing. So tell us about your book, finally. Like, tell us the process of getting that together.
Okay.
And how we're working on that.
Well, my book finally, it came about because, like I said, I was, writing poetry for different occasions and different things. And one day somebody said to me, you really should publish your poems. And I was like, publish my poems? So I was like, how would I go about doing that? So when I researched and I looked it up, they said that most publishing companies, very seldom will they publish a book of poetry, because poetry is not really something that sells. And, most publishing companies want something that sells. So, somebody told me about self-publishing. So I looked into that, and I waited until I got some money. I got some money from an award that I got, and I decided I was going to use that to self-publish. So I, researched different people, talked to different people, found out who I could use, and I self-published my book finally. And it was called Finally because it took me years from the time I wanted to do it to when I actually did it. So that's why it's finally like it's finally happened. And even with that, I had a problem because the person that I used was in contract with, he didn't fulfill it. I had to take him to court. It was a big thing. So even with that, it was a big issue. But that's how it came about, because I had all these poems, and I really wanted the world and people to see it and hear them. And so I self-published it.
Amazing. I read the book finally. It's an amazing book, amazing poetry book. It inspired me when I started poetry when I was younger. So
thank you.
So tell us about Beneath His Everlasting Wings.
Well, Beneath His Everlasting Wings is a devotional, and it's really a compilation of devotionals. I reached out to people that I knew, and they reached out to some people to ask them to become a part of it. And so people submitted, and I chose the ones that I felt was, fit the theme and what I wanted. And I just put it together. I wrote 3 of the devotionals, and then there's I think about at least 12 others from other people. And I just put it together as a devotional to encourage people, to inspire people, and for people to share their stories. Because I'm the type of person, I believe everyone has a story. And if it's up to me, everyone in the world should write a book, because there's someone waiting to hear your story.
Yes, I definitely agree. And also, we're gonna talk about A Grandma's Hand. Tell us about that book and what inspired you to write that book.
Okay, Grandma's Hand is a children's story book, and it's a story about a girl whose parents died, and her and her siblings have to go live with her grandmother. And it tells the story of how she felt because she was moving from the north to the south where her grandmother lived. As much as she loved her grandmother, visiting her grandmother, that was not something that she was, had ever imagined, that she would have to go live with her grandmother, And so it tells the story and about how her teacher helped her to overcome her fears and her anxiety. The reason why I wrote this story is because, as I mentioned, with my story, my life story, I always felt alone in the process. I didn't really know a lot of other people who were raised by their grandmothers. And now I know that there were a lot, but I just didn't know back then. And a lot of other people who didn't have a mother in their house or whatever. So I felt alone in that process until I read Maya Angelou's book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And I read that book when I was in junior high school. And it made me say wow, she went through it too. And, she was raised by her grandmother, and, she, later developed a relationship with her mother, and it was just good. So I wanted to write a book for children who were younger than junior high school age, because I was like, if I had this book when I was younger, I wouldn't have felt a lot of the things that I felt. So I wanted to write a book for younger children to know that they are not alone, that there's other children out there who don't have their parents for whatever reason, and who are raised by their grandparents.
Amazing, amazing. And before we continue, let my audience know where can they purchase your 3 books.
Well, they can purchase the devotional and Beneath His Everlasting Wings and the poetry book finally from my website, which is www.rorosrainbowcommunications.com. That's www.rorosrainbowcommunications.com. The poetry book is with the publisher, and they would have to go to authorhouse.com and put in Grandma's Hand by Rolanda Pyle, and then they could, purchase it there. So that's authorhouse as one word.com, and then put in the, Grandma's Hands by Rolanda Pyle.
All right. So in April 2004, the New York Daily News named you as one of the 100 women who shaped our city. So how was that? And how was that achievement? And how did you find out about the news?
Wow, I was stunned. I was overwhelmed when I heard about that. What it was, Ken, is I was sitting at home working on something, and I started getting these texts and these emails, and some of my colleagues were saying congratulations, and I was like, congratulations for what? Because I couldn't think of anything that I had recently done for them to be congratulating me. And then so I called one of them. I said, what are you congratulating me for? And she said, because you're in the Daily News today. And I said, I'm in the Daily News? I said, you sure it's me? Because I didn't think it was me. So I ran. At that time, I lived in the brownstone, and I lived on the top floor, and my father, who owned the brownstone, lived on the bottom floor. My father bought the paper every day. I didn't buy the paper after I got older. So I ran downstairs, and I asked my father, could I see the paper? And I saw it. So that's how I found out about it, because I didn't know. They didn't inform us. They didn't tell us about it. We were just recommended, and, they chose who they chose. And I was in it because of my work with grandparents raising grandchildren. And so I had worked with grandparents raising grandchildren at Department for the Aging for 10 years. I started the Grandparent Resource Center, and I was, I took it to the next level, really. And I was working with grandparents throughout the city. And so that was for that.
Amazing. And once again, congrats for that. I know it was a long time ago, but congrats for that. And amazing.
Thank you so much.
So I know you won many awards. So what was your biggest award achievement that you got?
I think that was the biggest achievement I got. Being in the Daily News as 100 women who shaped New York City, because look at how many women are in New York City who are doing phenomenal things and great work. So that, I think, was the biggest achievement. I think the second one would probably be the Sloan Public Service Award, which is an award that they give to city workers who do outstanding work. And, a lot of employees with the city work very hard. So I was honored to get that award. And the good thing about that award is that you get a monetary stipend with it. And that's what I used to publish my first book finally. But I think those were the 2 greatest awards that I received, or the ones that, was just such a blessing to me.
Amazing. And what advice do you have for new authors that want to start a book and who want to start writing? What advice do you have for them? I
would advise, first of all, that you have a plan. And first of all, and sit down and write. Just start writing. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you need an editor, get an editor, because I always need an editor, because even though I'm creative with the writing, sometimes with the grammar and stuff, I'm not. So I need an editor. So that's fine. And I would write your ideas down. And also I would say, start looking at how you want to publish. Talk to some of the different people who have self-published, and find out how you want to publish, or if you want to try a publishing company. One of the great things about social media today is that if you go on Facebook or Instagram, there are so many websites or groups for writers. And so if you want to become a writer, there's groups about that. There's groups for Black writers, there's groups for children's writers, there's groups for all kinds of writers. So you can learn a lot, and you can learn from other people's experiences by joining those groups and just talking to other people. But the thing I would say is just start. If you don't start, you can have a dream, but if you don't start, it never gets, fulfilled.
Yes, I agree. You definitely got to start something in order for it to make it happen. So I definitely agree. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit, and as we know, we are in a pandemic right now. We are through in a pandemic. So how had the pandemic affect you, and what have you learned from the pandemic?
Well, it's affected me in different ways. For me, I'm a goer. I like to go out. I like to go places. There's things that I like. I'm a sports fan. Knicks. Let's go Knicks.
Next, yeah, next.
And Liberty. I love Broadway plays. I love plays. So I try to go to at least 2 or 3 plays a year. So it's been hard for me because, I can't do any of those things. So that part has been hard. The isolation, being inside, has been hard. But with that isolation and with that being inside, one of the things I can say for last year, from last year to this year, is that I've had more of my work published. I've had more of my work in different blogs and magazines and books, because I've taken the time to not only write, but to find places to submit my work, which I wouldn't have done had I wouldn't have had the time or invested as much time if it wasn't for the pandemic. But the greatest lesson I learned was that I volunteer with seniors, and so I called seniors, and so they asked us when the pandemic first started to do a senior check-in. So I called a lot of seniors. I was given a list of names of seniors. I didn't know these seniors, and so I started calling them. And of course, there were seniors who were depressed, who were down, who couldn't see their family, they couldn't see their grandchildren, they were alone. So some of them were crying and stuff. But there were three seniors whose stories just stuck with me, and I will never forget. And one of the seniors talked about being in World War II, and he said that this is hard, being inside. He said, but it's nothing like World War II. So I was like, wow, he has a point. The second senior, she said, this is hard. She said, but I grew up in the South. She said, and I used to walk down the road and I would see men hanging from trees.
Oh, wow.
I would see men lynched. She said, so this is hard, but this is, and she said, and we would have to, go to the bathrooms that said colors and, and see the ones that said whites only. And I would have to deal with all of that. She said, so this is hard. She said, but this is nothing like that. And the last one was this senior who said, this is hard, but I was in Germany when Hitler took over, and me and my family had to hide in someone's house under their closet. He said, so it's one thing to be inside, but it's another thing to be inside, to be hiding, to be quiet, and no one know that you're there. And I was like, you know what? We have so much to be grateful for, because the three of them, they changed my whole perspective on terms of, even though it's hard, and I'm not saying it's not hard, because it's still hard, but it changed my perspective that, people have been through so much more and they've overcome. So we can and we will overcome this.
Yes, I agree. All we gotta do is continue to pray and stick together, and and just be strong the best way that we can.
Yes.
Because we all gonna get through this. We all gonna get through this.
Yeah.
But that not only that been happening, we also had a lot more injustice in America. So how do you feel about that? And also, how do you feel about the verdict with the George Floyd case?
Okay. So far as the racial injustice in this country, unfortunately, it's nothing new. This has been going on for decades and decades, and it's nothing new. I think that it's only coming to the surface now because of social media, because people are taping it, people are recording it. And I think with George Floyd, the whole world got to see it. And so, I mean, I've written several poems about, our history and stuff. And I always mention Emmett Till, because Emmett Till to me is the one that sticks out the most in my mind. So it's nothing new. I think that it's sad that it's still continuing. But personally, I think that America owes its people an apology. America has never apologized for its injustice to African Americans. America has never apologized for its injustice to me, to Native Americans. And I think America owes an apology to its people. And before we, reparations and stuff, I want it. I think it's good. But I also think, first of all, America has to acknowledge it's wrong and apologize. George Floyd verdict, I was sitting there and I was like, oh gosh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I was calling your aunt your father, and I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I was uncertain that it was even going to come, that the verdict was going to come down, you know, the way it did. And so I was happy, I was thrilled, but there's still work to be done.
Yes.
Don't think We can't think that this is over, because it's still work to be done. There's still a lot going on every day, and there's a lot of work to be done.
Yes, agree. It is a lot to work to be done. This hopefully this is like the first step in the right direction.
Yes, yes.
So let's get to more brighter note. Let's get to more positive stuff now. And
Okay.
so what is your dream venture? I know you raised it a lot, but what is your dream? Something that you always want to do, but you never got a chance to do yet.
I mean, I love to travel. So there are I still have a list of a lot of places that I want to go to. When I was younger, and I didn't even realize this until I was like looking through one of my old diaries, I had wrote that I would like to visit all 50 states. So far I'm at 38. So I have 12 more to go.
Wow.
So I really want to accomplish that. And there are several other places that I have not been to that I would really like to travel to. Another dream is that I want to write my memoir, telling about my life story. So, I mean, I've started it and put it down, and I really have to concentrate on that. And those are like the two biggest things that that I can discuss.
Okay, amazing. So, what other project do you got going on?
Well, like I said, right now I'm working on my memoir. I'm working on that, and I'm hoping to complete that. I'm thinking of doing a project with seniors, so seniors can get to tell their stories. Because, like I said, from those phone calls, I heard like so many seniors have so many stories to tell, and I love seniors, so I'm thinking of doing something like that with them. That's about really it. I'd like to relocate, but my dream is to relocate. But my dream is to like spend like 5 months in the South, maybe 3 months in New York, and 3 months in Barbados. So we'll see.
All right. And what do you have to say for anybody that's going the same route as you? Like, say something inspirational.
For anybody I'm sorry, can I didn't hear the last part?
No, nice. What do you have to say for anybody going the same route as you? Like, say anything inspirational that they want to know.
I would just say stay the course. Don't give up, and don't let other people influence who you are or what you're going to do. And know your worth and know your purpose. Learn what your purpose is. And I think the younger you learn what your purpose is and go for it, the more time you have to work on it and the more time you have to give to it.
All right. So before you go, we're gonna play a little game. We're gonna play a little segment game called 5 Random Topics, where I ask you 5 topics and you told me in a short or long response of what it is and stuff like that. So are you ready? All right, so we're gonna start with what is your favorite type of music?
Well, my favorite type of music, I would say now, is gospel, because of the gospel message. But I grew up with my father, who was a music lover, and he played music all the time. So because of that, I kind of learned to love jazz. So I like jazz a lot, and I like R&B, old school R&B, like the 70s, the 80s, but mostly the 70s and 60s. Yeah.
Yeah, agree. What's your favorite movie of all time? Give me like your top 5.
Growing up, my favorite movie was Imitation of Life, and It's a Wonderful Life, because of the stories that were so great about life and the different situations and stuff. For me, I always like To Serve with Love, because I think Sidney Poitier did an excellent job with that movie. But for me now, as I look at movies, one movie that I watch all the time is The Five Heartbeats, because I just love the music. And
of course.
And another movie that I watch all the time is Best Man Holiday, because something about that movie, it just touches my heart. I cry every time I watch it. I watch it every holiday season. And it's just the love of the family, the love of a husband for his wife, and the love of friends. It's just the greatest. So I would say those 5.
All right. I know. When I was younger, the 5 heartbeats. You did put me onto the 5 heartbeats. So I do.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I do remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. What's your favorite food?
My favorite food is between Southern and Caribbean, I guess because of my roots. I love salmon. I love all kinds of salmon. I love turkey wings. I love collard greens. I love candied yams. I love oxtail, Caribbean style oxtail though. Um,
Mm.
Peas and rice. So those are basically my favorite. And I'm a dessert lover, which I shouldn't be, but I am.
All right. All right.
And red
So
velvet
what is
cake is
one?
my favorite. I'm sorry, red
Yeah.
velvet cake is my favorite. Okay.
All right. All right. All right. What is one thing you want to do in 2021?
Travel. I want to travel again. I want to travel. That's like the main thing on my mind. Is like, when can I travel? You know.
And all right, last one. Which celebrity that you wish you could have met?
I would love to have a conversation with Denzel Washington because he's just like my favorite actor. I would love to also talk to Angela Bassett. And just to find out from them, like, what motivates them, how do they keep going, how do they play all these parts, and just bring so much life to the parts that they bring it to. I would love to meet Barack Obama and Michelle, and I would love to have a conversation with them. And if we talk about celebrities or people of importance who passed on, I would say Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and I think that's basically it in terms of just having conversations with, and of course, Jesus, but I'm going to meet him one day. So.
Yes. Yes. So, Rolanda, thank you for coming on the show. You always been doing amazing things, and keep doing amazing things, and thank you, for helping me over the years as well.
Thank you, Ken. This is an honor. I'm so proud of you and so glad that you wanted to have me on. This is such an honor. Thank you so much. God bless you, hon.
You're welcome. So before you go, drop your social media and where they can listen to your book, get your books and stuff like that. All your information basically.
The website is www.rose with an S Rainbow Communications. That's one word. Rose Rainbow Communications.com. And that's to get the 2 books. Beneath His Everlasting Wings, and finally, and then to get the children's book, you have to go to authorhouse.com and put the book in my name in. That's authorhouse.com and put the book in my name in, Grandma's Hands by Rolanda Pyle. And I'm on all social media, and most of it's just, Rolanda Pyle or Roro's Rainbow Communications.
All right. Thank you. We'll be right back. I just want to take the time to thank everybody for watching MrGentleman like the Pocket TV. Thank you to my special guest, Miss Rolanda Pyle, for coming to the show. Keep doing amazing things. And y'all already know, if y'all want to be a guest on MrGentleman like the Pocket TV, y'all could email me about yourself and everything that you do to my email, kenypgent@gmail.com. And I can set y'all up on the YouTube version of MrGentleman like the podcast. So yeah, and once again, thank y'all and have a good day or night whenever you're watching this episode.
You are now listening to MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast Season 4. Cheer!